Hey, good afternoon, Scott. Thanks for being on the show and doing a little interview with me. Welcome. And yep, Scott is from CatskillComics.com. So if you visited his site before, you've seen the artists that he reps, but you probably didn't know a lot about Scott because hasn't been a regular on the con circuit for the last few years. But Scott, you've been in business for 20 plus years. So tell me a little bit about how you got started with Catskill Comics and maybe what you were doing even before Catskill Comics that got you interested in wanting to start this business.
Well, thanks for having me on. I started Catskill Comics October 2001. And before that, I was working at a factory, and eBay came along, and I started buying things and reflipping them, and ended up buying some comic books at a yard sale, made some good money on them. Ended up buying the inventory from 2 comic book stores in the area that were going out of business. And some of the less desirable books I gave to my wife for an auction to raise money for the Boy Scouts, and a local comic book artist, Charles Burnett, showed up, and he introduced himself to me, and we became friends, and then he asked me would I be willing to sell artwork for him. So I said, yeah, of course. And he said, oh, I'll introduce you to some other people, and since you got this website started. So originally Catskill Comics was meant to sell comic books, and ended up being original art and art rep type situation. He introduced me to Mike Grell, Ron Frenz, and then those guys introduced me to other guys, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I didn't read a whole lot of comic books growing up, just because I lived in a very rural part of Nebraska. We didn't have much out there, plus you're on a farm. You can't just walk down to the corner and buy a comic book, when you're 8 years old. But, I did have some comic books growing up. First one was Savage Sword of Conan number 33. And, but I always liked to draw. I grew up drawing. Matter of fact, I always had plans of going to school to be a commercial artist. So the whole comic book art and my love of art kind of all came together, and just to start this business, especially helped with Charles Burnett getting me started.
So when you bought the 2 comic collections, you had no intention of opening a store. You were going to just sell the comics on eBay, or
I was going to through eBay and through the website. I was going to Catskill Comics, and before I even got one book up on the website, it changed into a whole different animal. So,
and that's why it's called Catskill Comics and not Catskill Comic Art, right?
Correct.
You initially had that domain name, and that was what you stuck with. And even though your focus became more on the art side of the world than comics after those were sold out. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, once it got going, then you can't change, because then you're just basically starting all over again. So kind of stuck with it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I always did wonder why it didn't have the word art in it, when we first met. But now I understand.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned when we're at the intro, it's been a while. I mean, I'd last seen you probably around 2005 or 6 or so at the Pittsburgh Comic Con. So how has your business model changed over the years with regards to getting out to shows? I mean, have you just found that the website has always just really been the focal point, and you didn't need the shows, or do you just go out to shows when your guys are going to be there? How have you worked that part of the marketing of your business into your business plan?
Well, I enjoyed going to the shows, and yes, Pittsburgh was probably the last time I saw you in Pittsburgh. We did other shows for a while, and then it just became kind of like just do the Pittsburgh show. And, I used to go out with Ron Frenz and Mike Grell to different shows here and there. And then it just became the Pittsburgh show for the most part. And then I think Ron really didn't want to travel as much and focus on work. He had Spider-Girl going on at the time. And I had actually found, that I could make just as much money staying at home and working versus going and spending 3 or 4 days you spend a week preparing for a show, and then you're gone for 3 days, and then you get back and trying to get back into business again online. But I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, it works out that I was making just as much money staying at home and working as going to the shows. So, but the plus side of the show was the interaction with new people. Making new customers and friends and such. But that is the downside of not going to the shows.
All right. But you had mentioned that you are going to be going to a show in 2022, though, right?
Yes. Ron Frenz was invited to Heroes Con. I think Tom DeFalco is going to be with them as well. And Ron wanted me to go because he likes me to handle the business side of it, and he can just focus on commissions and fans. So, yes, Ron and I will be there with Tom DeFalco at Heroes Con.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I'm going to go, so we're definitely going to get together, and we'll have to have some kind of comic art fans get together too. Maybe we can have a little collector gathering or something at the show. I mean, I'm sure there's many of them, but we can at least set up one of our own.
Right.
So tell me about your experiences with the different artists that you rep. I mean, obviously you've got I think 16 people in the list on your website today.
Yeah.
And how often have you added new artists that you rep, and what's been the kind of your experience as a rep, and have you had a lot of fun doing it?
Oh, I've actually had a lot of fun doing it. But like any business, you have your disappointments and such. I've had plenty of artists that I've handled, and I've had some people that weren't really known well in the comic industry, and it almost seemed like sometimes it was like I was doing all this, and once they figured out how I was doing things, then they go, oh, well, I'll go off and do this on my own. I don't need him no more. But it happens. I don't have I have a handshake agreement with everybody. I don't have a contract or anything like that. I'm big on people being loyal to what they say they're going to do. And that's just old school thought that I have, and maybe it's just from where I'm from and how people I used to, deal with. But it's been great. Like I said, Mike, Grell, and Ron Frenz were there at the beginning. They're still with me. They've seen my daughter grow up, and then they cry because how old they feel, and and I feel it too. But and Pat Olliffe, I think I picked him up a couple years after Catskill had started, and and I've repped some other artists like Dick Ayers and Al Feldstein, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Dick Ayers I repped for quite some time, up to a couple years or 3 years before he passed away. And same with Al Feldstein. So he didn't do a whole lot of work, though. I think he was just up there, and that he really didn't want to do as much work. But so yeah, it's been great.
So do you actually have all the historical sales data from the time that you started to now, or?
Unfortunately, I do not. I have pretty much all the sales I ever done since 2009. 2009 I have. Close, but, so I can still go back. If I see something that we sold online, I can go back and see what we sold it for, back then. So. It's probably not as quick as finding it as your system.
I was just curious. It's like I love data, so it's like knowing that the data is out there is always just good to know, because a lot of dealers, they prior to working with us, they didn't always store the data so that they could get back and reference it, but you would think anybody who's a rep needs to keep that data so they know, how they're taking care of the artists and sending out commission payments and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of bookkeeping when you are an artist rep.
Yes, and there is I would have never imagined how much paperwork was involved with doing this kind of a job, but there is a lot.
Oh yeah, well, like you said, maintaining commission request lists, those sorts of things. It's not easy, and then kind of keeping yourself in sync with where your artists are at with those sorts of things. You're worth your weight in gold when you realize all the effort that you have to put into running a business like this.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know that you rep Joe Sinnott, and Sinnott has always been one of my favorite artists. I think I mentioned it before. He made Marvel for Marvel. He made it for me because he just inked so many of the most important titles that the Marvel had going. He made everybody look better, and it made a cohesive style across all the books that they were doing. So what was your relationship like with Joe, knowing that, as everybody knows, he passed away quite recently, and it was a great loss, I think, to all of us who collect original art.
Yeah, it was a huge loss. I mean, as everybody knows, Joe was just not just a great artist, but he was just a great person. He was always friendly to everybody, and he took serious. He listened to when you were talking, even if it was a comic related, and he was just, he was just a really nice guy, and I've spent a lot of times, at his apartment with his wife Betty, and just talking, and he would show me things he was working on and new prints and such, and go out to lunch occasionally. Sometimes just me and him, sometimes with his son Mark. And just so you know, I don't officially represent Joe Sinnott. Mark has been and always will be Joe's official artist rep. I'm helping Mark out. That's Mark is retired, and he wants to stay retired. So so I'm helping him.
Well, that's good. Well, Clint, your relationship allows you to do that. You were close enough to the family that they trust you to take care of that for him. So that's great.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, they only live like a mile away, and so we see each other a lot.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you when they had that Joe Sinnott kind of appreciation day? Were you at that?
I was not able to attend. I can't remember what was going on, and I was not able to make it up there, and I regret it. So, but it wasn't like I haven't seen Joe. I probably saw him like 2 days before, or something like that. But I was not able to make it up that weekend. I don't remember what was going on, but I just couldn't make it. So.
I remember seeing a lot of photographs from that. Like Joe Jusko was there, with Barry Windsor Smith was there. It was just really neat to see all the people who turned out to to honor him and his career. I mean, I know that was a few years back, but yeah, it was pretty neat. You just don't see that really, ever, and that was a really remarkable thing. I mean, I wish I could have gone to that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there.
So tell me a little bit more of your obviously with Ron and Mike being the original two. I mean, those two had a long career in comics by the time you started working with them. Yeah. So when you first started working with both of them, did they have a lot of artwork that they hadn't sold, or did you really start repping them, and was the work pretty much current that you were selling? What was it like when you first started working with them as a rep?
Well, when I first started, Ron had some original art. Mike had some original art, and every once in a while, Mike would, go clean a closet or something and end up going, "Hey, look, I just found a whole issue of John Sable," and send it over, and I also represented Keith Williams, anchor Keith Williams. Now that guy had an whole attic full of art back in the day when I started repping him. So. Ron had some artwork, but then he was he was working on Spider-Girl, so we were getting artwork every 3 months from Marvel to be able to give on the second tier market for fans.
So it wasn't so you had a bit of inventory to scan when you first started working with those.
Oh guys. Yeah. And then commissions have always been a big presence with the website. Mm-hmm. And I probably sell more. I take more commissions than I probably sell in original art. But if I had more interior pages, that'd probably change. But you know, something I'm working on. You're always looking for new artwork.
Sure. So are you still in the market to get other artists and work with them?
Yeah, I am into doing that. I've been finding a lot of people, especially now that COVID happened. You know, a lot of artists have figured out how to do this kind of job by themselves. Mm-hmm. You know, the one thing I always try to point out to them as being their art rep, especially for commissions, is you can just focus on the art. You don't have to focus on all the details and the contact information and shipping and all that other stuff. You know, you have 10 commissions, you do 10 commissions, you ship them to me, and then I take care of the rest. I make sure to get to the right customers, update the website, and go get more customers for them. So, yeah. No. So, yeah, I'm definitely open to, representing other artists, but it's just been difficult. It seems more difficult now than it was then, because I have a lot of artists. They just don't want to deal with the business end. They just want to work on commissions, work and going to shows and such. So
right. Well, I mean, I always say that a rep's worth their weight in gold. Especially when artists we want them creating art. I don't want them running a business, spending their afternoon packing artwork. Those sorts of things. I mean,
right.
It's like everybody would probably wish I was working on CAF all day, but I got to write checks. I got to do all these other things. So you want the people that that like that to just be focused on the thing that they really do well, and just let somebody else handle it when that's the proper situation for them. I know in a lot of cases I've seen where spouses help out with that, and but at the end of the day, someone like yourself who's been doing it for a while, you're used to packing and shipping art and collecting payments. I mean, it just makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah. Shipping used to be the number one hatred that I had for this job. I absolutely hated shipping. So I had made a decision that was going to be the first thing I did every morning, just to get it out of the way. It's like kind of eating the vegetables in your meal that you don't like, and so you can enjoy the rest of your meal. So that's basically. And now I don't mind it so much, and I get a lot of people that say I do a heck of a job packaging. I almost become obsessed with it. Especially for the high end thing, I want to make sure it's going to get to its destination in one piece. So
right. So you don't ship anything in tubes. It's all flat.
All flat. Lots of cardboard. So yeah.
Good. No, that's I don't believe I hate to say it. I don't believe I've ever ordered a piece of artwork from you. So we'll have to rectify that.
Yes.
But it's true though. As a buyer, we buyers definitely remember poor shipping jobs that we get from people, whether it's a collector shipping us artwork or a rep or a dealer. You never forget those experiences, and you're usually the first to kind of point it out. So I can say that I've never seen anything negative said ever about anything that you've ever shipped. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Now if I can just train my artists when they sending me the artwork, and I'm getting there. Most of them, it's taken 20 years, but they're getting there. So.
Right. No, I've seen, because I've worked with a lot of reps over the years, and I know how, like, sometimes you'll get an artist will just have a FedEx box, right? Opened up, so it's 2 inches deep or whatever, and they just put all the artwork straight into that. Seal it up, send it out, and you just hope that it arrives safely, right? I mean,
yeah.
I've seen it.
I've seen some close calls, and that and I've seen some that guess what, you're going to have to do this over because it didn't survive, and usually it takes one time of that, and they
right. Well, you're lucky that you're close to a lot of the people that you rep too, where you can go pick stuff up or. I think you'd mentioned sometimes you used to even go into Marvel to pick up some of the finished work. I mean, the published work that the artists were getting back. So that's good. I mean, you're in a great location to be an artist rep, really.
Yeah, I mean, the only people that are really close by, besides Mark Sinnott and Joe Sinnott, Ramona Fradon, she lives close by. Paul Abrams is close by. So yeah, I just go pick up the commissions from them or artwork. straight from them, so there's no concern. So yeah, I mean, and there is a lot of people that live, a lot of artists that live in this area. You know, Starlin and Terry. I'm gonna flip out on that one. Terry, he's an inker. I can't remember his last name.
Not Terry Austin.
Yes, Terry Austin.
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were, because I know he doesn't really ink anymore. But
no, he doesn't. No, but you know, but anyways,
but yeah, he's still in the area.
Yeah, and I couldn't understand. At first, I was like, why do all these artists just live in this little area here? And then it realized, you know, well, the train is an hour and a half from New York City. They didn't have to go far to go to Marvel or DC. So.
No, that makes sense. I mean, that's all the interesting people that I talked to, you know, in the hobby that were out there in the 70s, you know, we're all from kind of your area or closer into town or Jersey, that sort of thing. So, you know, I mean, it's definitely was the place to be that, you know, for collectors and people who were initially doing comic art and collecting original art. I mean, New York City was it. And then any of the suburbs.
Yeah.
That's where, like, you had mentioned, you know, like, well, you know, let's talk a little bit about Sal Buscema too.
Because,
you know, you have repped him for a while, and he had a rep even before that was taking care of his business. So what's your relationship and your experience been like with Sal over the years?
Sal is well, I started repping Sal back in 2018, but I've known Sal for some time. You know, when he was working with Ron Frenz on Spider-Girl, you know, like you said, I would have to go down to the city because I don't know what's going on with Art Return, but they weren't they weren't very active on making sure people got their artwork right away. I mean, sometimes we'd wait 6 months, and I finally said, this is just stupid. I'll just take the train down and go pick it up every few months, you know, and then split it up according to how Marvel does it, and then send Sal his part. But no, working with Sal has been great. He's a really great guy, and he's funny. He has a good sense of humor, and but you know, Sal's slowing down a little bit, but he still draws very well. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you're not actively taking commissions for Sal now, but he's still working through a commission list that he's had, I imagine. And
yeah, we're not taking any more commissions for the wait list. I think it's up a little over 250 people on a wait list. And like I said, he's been slowing down, so he's not producing as many commissions. And at the rate he's going, it will take him 20 years to finish 250 commissions, you know, unless something changes, you know.
Right. Well, that's, again, we have a lot of artwork from Sal to cherish, whether the commissions that people are waiting for, but, you can't, anybody who's a vintage art dealer, you can never go to their booth and not see a lot of work by Sal and just be amazed at the amount of work he's done over the years, because I'm blown away. I was over at a dealer's house over the weekend, and just I went through one stack of that was like all of Sal's work, and it was just amazing to see it, from the 70s up to a few current or probably done in the last 5 years kind of commissions. And I just love his work. I mean, his work, I loved his work on Rom. I mean, you name it. He touched so many books that I grew up on and loved. And I mean, more power to him. I'm so glad that he's at least still working a little bit and putting work out there for the fans, because he's definitely a national treasure. Yeah,
he's actually inking a cover for Marvel, a Spider-Man cover. Ron Frenz penciled it, so I think it's a variant cover. But that's the last I've heard that he's working on inking this one cover. But you're right. When he sent me ROM #1, the entire issue.
Yeah.
Wow, that was just beautiful artwork. Just knocks your socks off. But he's a great inker, and he's a great person. Just like Joe. I mean, he's just a very personal person. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Well, anyway, so that's pretty cool. I mean, again, and let's talk a little bit about Fradon as well, because you've repped her for a little while, and I know I mentioned to you while we were doing the site design how much I just love her work and how consistent it is, and I mean, she's just amazing. I think that everybody should have a piece of art from Ramona, whether it's something that's been published or it's just getting her to do one of her character commission sketches. I mean, she's so consistent, and her style is beautiful. I mean, you see a drawing by her, and you know it was done by Fradon.
Yeah. She's really good at what she does, and for being 94, going to be 95 in October, she still has it. And there's times I go up there and I'll see one piece and go, wow, you just really outdid yourself again, Ramona. And she'll always go, yeah, I think I'm finally getting better at this, So
she does have a very good sense of humor.
Oh yeah, she has a great sense of humor. Yes. So, she would tell me stories about working with Brenda Starr, and she had to get a strip in to, down to the city, and it wasn't inked, so she'd be sitting on the train inking on the way, to the city to go drop it off, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, but she draws very fast. I can just give her 5 commissions and she'll call me in a week and go, okay, they're done. Oh, and by the way, I did a bunch of these drawings too. You can sell,
Wow.
But but she's not doing anything else, and it occupies her time. And especially during COVID, she couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. So what else did she have to do except because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So she just keep drawing.
Right. Well, I have noticed you always seem to have new, commission level kind of drawings from her, whether they're 9x12s or whatnot, whether they're just the head or a half body. You always seem to have those. So clearly, she is still just producing work for the fun of it. I mean, that's what probably keeps her sharp, right? I mean, that's great.
Yeah,
I've seen a few interviews with her on YouTube. So she's somebody I think when we had talked before, she's probably never not going out to shows probably ever again. But at least there's interviews out there that we can check and see and watch, because she seemed like a really fun person.
Yeah, she is a very fun person. She's
great.
She's very witty.
Very nice. So as far as the artists you got, now you mentioned Sal's inking something by Ron. Which of the artists that you have that are currently doing, got work in production that it's going to be published that you might be coming out in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah. Well, Pat Olliffe is working with Comixology on a book called Edgeworld. And Ron Frenz, for the last few years, Ron Frenz and Sal Buscema has been working with Sick Comics on a series called The Blue Baron. And that's actually going to be going through Diamond here pretty soon. You should be able to order it through your local comic book shop. Okay. And then they have another book that they're working on, Heroes Union, and I guess that's not going to come back. That's not going to come out until next month, early next month of August. And that's through Sick Comics as well. Darren Henry is the owner and the writer. So
okay.
Yeah. So and then Ron and Tom DeFalco are getting back together for a project, which I cannot talk about. But
okay.
You can leave it up to your imagination what it may or may not be. But they're going to be getting together and doing something together.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure he's excited. Whatever it is, I'm sure they're both very excited to be working together again.
Yeah. Well, they work very well together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And anyone else? I don't want to leave anybody out.
No, I think that's about it. So that's working on anything ongoing.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Well, I have to tell you, it was a pleasure working with you on getting the Catskill Comics redesign out there. I know we had a few bumps in the road and everything, but I just wanted to, I really appreciate it. Every time a dealer or a rep is willing to work with us on something, it really means a lot to me to have that trust. So I wanted to thank you for that, because I think we've made a nice site, and once all the dust settles, I think that we'll both be really happy with the ongoing relationship we'll have. So thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, I absolutely, you know how I was at the beginning of this. I hate change. Nobody likes change. And, Catskill Comics website, it's been the same website for 20 years. And it was just kind of hard to let go. But now that it's up, the news website is up and running, I'm quickly starting to fall in love with it. There's a lot of features I think is going to be good for the customers.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're doing it, and maybe we'll be able to convince some of those other old school guys with sites that look like they were much older than yours from the 1990s. Maybe we'll one day get those people to upgrade and enter the 21st century. But no, it's been a lot of fun. So Scott, again, I really appreciate you taking the time today to do this little interview. It's something you were the guinea pig. So, this is something that I'm going to do that's going to be ongoing. And, I want to introduce some of the people that, like yourself, the people that probably emailed with a ton and never actually gotten the chance to meet in person. So I appreciate that. And, again, if there's ever anything that I can do for you, with regards to the website, or if you ever need anything else that's not even related to this, please let me know. I mean, I always want to be a good friend and a good partner on the things that I do and the people that I work with. So, again, everything that you've done with me, I appreciate it all.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. And hey, listen, so far you picked up the phone every time I call, so apparently I'm not harassing you too much. So.
No. I can tell you, in the past, I used to let things go to voicemail, but ever since COVID, I don't know, there's a sense of immediacy and urgency I always feel with things, and I know that the people I work with feel the same way, right? You wouldn't be calling me if you needed it, because I always used to be like, leave it I want a voicemail or I want an email, because that was easier to kind of go back and follow up on. But in this day and age, you really can't do that. You really need to be very, very responsive. And it's actually, what I've learned in the last 18 months, that things get done faster when you actually answer the phone.
Yes, and I've always preferred the phone over texting or emailing back and forth. Hey, a phone call, you have it done in 2 minutes, and
exactly.
and it's over with. So
yeah, no. So you haven't been a pain in the rear end at all, not at all.